We assume conformity is bad. When you hear about it, conformity is bad. And how many times have your parents said things like, oh yeah, well if 1 million people jumped off a bridge, would you? And you're all, yes. I'm not saying conformity is bad. I'm not necessarily saying it's good. I'm saying conformity is necessary. Think about it this way. If conformity was bad, if nobody conformed, we'd have anarchy. In fact, here's my challenge for you. I dare you to not conform today. Don't conform to the role of a student. What I want you to do is go into your next class period. Maybe the teacher's, shifting class periods, or they're getting something from the Xerox machine, and you're in the class before they are. Grab the Promethean pen, grab the chalk, and when they come in, and you're up here, and then she's like, excuse me, haha, really funny, but I'll be with you in a minute, young lady. Sit down, please. Do that. Don't conform to the role of a son or daughter. When you're home and your mom starts cooking, you'll be like, Mom, should have been ready about a half hour ago. What did I tell you about planning ahead and responsibility? You're letting the family down. Some of you are like nervous. You're like, you can't do that. Last time I got pulled over, yesterday, police officer rolled up on me, and I said, and he's like, how you doing today? And I looked at him, I said, license and registration, please. It's funny, but it can also make you squirm with awkwardness. Okay? Gentlemen, next time you see your boy, you're in a hallway, you're on campus, and so what's up? Elaborate handshake, grab a little hug, what's up? All right, don't do that. Give him a little kiss on the cheek. Everybody, you're like, yeah. So how about this? How about this? If your mom wants to be cool, and she's like, hi, honey, how was your day? Were you slicing it? A lot of you are like, that makes you awful when you see the mom. When you see the mom in Mean Girls who's trying to be cool, it makes you squirm.
I want you to know, if you need anything, don't be shy, okay? There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Right?
Because if people don't conform, it makes us uncomfortable. It might even be, I don't know, maybe an indicator of mental illness. It can be really, really, really funny. You don't believe me? I dare you to go on an elevator and sit down right on the floor. When you go into an elevator, everyone has to stand equidistant apart. Not me. I'm like right next to someone. How you doing? But the dark side of it is it can push us into things because social pressure can overwhelm our moral defenses. It can overwhelm what we know is ethically right and ethically wrong. And unfortunately, social pressure can be almost irresistible. Most people conform because most people conform. Social psychology explains that most people act like most people in most situations. Social psychology will explain why millions of German citizens, good people, probably went to church, probably prayed every day, but they stood by and watched and even participated in the millions of murders, murders of millions. Were all of them horribly evil people? No. But the pressure of social psychology will say what most people do. Social psychology will not explain Hitler, because he didn't conform to a role necessarily. He's such an outlier statistically. Social psychology kind of falls down. It's all about the average. And social psychology will fall down trying to explain the very rare few people who stood up, resisted the social pressure at the risk of their own life and their family's life. So on either ends of the bell curve, social psychology might fall a little bit because if there's not a role to conform to, it's hard to explain conformity. So let's dig into this a little bit. I'm saying we all conform. And if you say, nah, I don't, all right, I kind of lie. I think you're lying. I think we conform, and I think it's healthy. The question is, to what do we conform? Do you conform to the role of a jock? I conform to the role of a thug. Why don't you even, you don't even take me seriously. So the question is, what do you conform to? If you can, sure. Avni. Oh. She's not in trouble, okay? When she comes back in, 8 minutes later, I'm going to say the word Hawthorne effect. And I want you all to stand up. Don't giggle. Don't screw this up. Just be like, okay, I'll be teaching. I'm just going to say it's like the Hawthorne effect. You're going to stand up, and we're going to see if she conforms. What do you think? Think she will? All right, then let me get the camera right on her. is not right. Why would I even do that? All right. Just spreading evil and chaos everywhere we go. Okay, let's seriously go on to this, and we'll wait for her to come back in the room. I guess when we talk about conformity, the number one thing we got to talk about is to what do we conform? And the idea is roles. Remember, not until I say Hawthorne effect, okay? So what do we conform to? The conform to roles. You conform to son, daughter, brother, sister, student. And it's a wild concept. Compare your conforming to the role of, if you're a young teenager, you might every now and then get the role of authority figure. You might every now and then be team captain. And if someone comes late to practice, you're just straight in their face. If you're an assistant manager, straight in their face. You're yelling at your younger brother or sister. God forbid you babysit. You have a little bit of power. You step into that job. What, you want to go to bed early? Let's go. However, your mom and dad scold you for not putting a dish in the dishwasher? I'm sorry. So conformity is not good. Conformity is not bad. It is necessary. And I'm going to go so far as, what if you don't conform? You will be unhappy. You will be miserable. Is that a mental illness? It could be in the extreme. Now, not conforming to the role that's pushed upon you can make us all a little bit uncomfortable. My wife wants me to be a good husband. And I said I'm a thug, so that's not going to happen. So the reality is, do your parents want you to conform to the role of a good little boy and girl? Clearly. But do you want to be a good little boy and girl all the time? I don't think so. So let's roll on with this. This is powerful. Even if an unwanted role is forced upon a person, or if you. What if in this situation, class clown? For some reason or the teacher labels a student as class clown, and everyone else buys in and kind of treats that student as a class clown. They might not like it. It might be embarrassing. But if everyone is treating the kid cannot change the behavior of the teacher. The kid cannot change the behavior of the whole class or the whole team. Remember, you can't do something for long and hate it. If you can't change how other people treat you, you're going to change the fact you hate it. And you're going to start to conform to that role. This can work very well if you have a teacher that treats a student like a very smart individual, like someone who can do it and gives them respect. On the other hand, there's some dark ideas. Teachers will look at students and be like, not that one, you know how they are. And people conform to that. Conformity is not good, it's not bad. It is. It's part of human nature. Write down normative social influence. It's a fancy word for conformity. Just a fancy word for conformity. We conform to what others are doing just because we want to act normal. And every single child who says, I don't care what people think of me, why do they say it? You know what I'm saying? Aren't they conforming to the role of a rebel? And they want to let everyone know they don't care. That everyone knows that they don't care. Informational social influence, you know what? Fancy word for obedience. All right, let's do this. We got 4 steps to this. Okay, 4 steps to the process of conformity. The first is compliance. And if you know what compliance is, don't write down every word. Compliance is you do a behavior because of punishment or reward. You do a behavior because of punishment or reward. You might hate it. Boss changes the report time for all the employees, and all the employees grumble. They do it because they have to. They don't want to lose their job or anger the boss. Teacher changes the way grades are done. You'll do it because you want the points, you want the reward. You'll grumble, you hate it, you'll grumble, you hate it. But have I ever said, maybe just once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, you can't do something for long and hate it? Yeah. So, yeah, you have to do it. But what if it keeps going on? The next stage is going to be conformity. The next stage is going to be conformity. You do it because of social pressure. And I'm begging you, please don't be that person that falls prey to the attribution error. This is, I don't do it. I'm different than everyone. I don't care what people think. We all know the attribution error simply says that we treat ourselves better than we treat everyone else. We say, oh, you know why that person conforms? because they're of this religion. Because their hair is like this, or they're uneducated. You know how those blue-collar people are. I believe, I learned social psychology, so I can't conform, please. Zimbardo himself actually fell prey to his own experiment in conformity. He divided 24 people, 12 people in one group, 12 people in the other group. He conformed to the role of prison warden. Oh yeah, 12 were conformed to the role of prisoners, we saw that. 12 conformed to the role of prison guards, we saw that. He conformed to the role of prison guard so much so he didn't see that people were suffering. He is a trained mental health professional. He fell into his own conformity trap. Just because you read a textbook on this doesn't mean you won't fall prey to the concept of conformity. Why? Because we're humans. We have this thing on conformity called imagined social pressure. Maybe you're sitting there, you're walking down the street, you're going to a store, you're all fat, dumb, and happy, and then bam, you hit the door, and you look down, it says pull. Time out, freeze. Right when you said pull, what's the first thing you do? You look around to see who saw. It's not like we have the Hawthorne effect, okay? The reality is that with this spotlight effect, we have this thing called the imaginary. Why'd you stand? Grab a seat, everyone. You know what I'm saying? We're not that important. It's not like scientists are watching you all with what we call the Hawthorne effect. So if you think about it that way, or boys and girls, think about it this way. You walk through, and the concept is, why'd you stand? Sit down. Then what we're going to look at, I mean, if you've already said something, a different idea or a different opinion, why are you standing, Tom? I like to stand. All right, everyone, grab a seat. Okay, let's do a quick debrief. Now, the reality is, of course, I didn't get her I didn't get her consent, her informed consent, but I think the minor embarrassment that she has is kind of worth all of our pleasure. We're willing to sacrifice one kid. Now, we won't humiliate her too bad, and I want you to guard your mind against the fundamental attribution error. Okay, a lot of us are sitting around thinking superior because you knew the joke, and you knew that you'd never stand. Remember what we call the hindsight bias or confirmation bias. You're going to rewrite your own mental history, and you're thinking, I'd never stand. I wouldn't do that, please. The reality is conformity is so powerful, and I'm going to rewrite it. Instead of saying conformity is weakness, conformity is smart if you don't know what to do. If you're dropped in a weird situation, you're the new kid at a school, it's your first day on the job, you're trying out for a team or a sport you've never tried out, you're looking around, you don't know what to do? Do what everyone else does. Is that weakness or is that smart? Smart. So please don't ever judge another human being for conforming, because social psychology says if you were in that social situation, you'd do the exact same thing. Is there anyone here thinking they wouldn't conform? Good. All right, good, because the next experiment would probably break you physically. Can't do that. The third step we got here is going to be what we call identification. And identification and internalization overlap, just like conformity, number 2, and identification overlap. Okay, the person loosely adopts the belief and opinions of the persons identify with. This is a process. This isn't necessarily an event. Let's track your faith formation from when you were but a wee little lad or lass. Parents dragged you to church, mosque, synagogue, or a giant freaking hole in the ground wherever you worship the dirt. I don't know. Whatever your religious tradition is, you first hated it. They made you wear stuff that you didn't like. You couldn't eat food here, sit, stand, kneel. You don't know what was going on. It was really, really boring. If I were to say a religious joke right now, many of you all would be pissed. It's a wild concept. Even though you can find fault with your own religion, even though sometimes you wrestle with it and you say, if God loves everyone, God's all powerful, how can there be bad things and tornadoes and earthquakes and stuff like that? And I'm not saying you're completely comfortable with your faith, but it's you. It's part of you. If I say something makes fun of your isms, you are mad. And you believe in what you believe, not because someone gives you a reward. You believe what you believe because it feels good. That's what an intrinsic reward is. Do you know why you do homework? It's not for a grade. It's not for your parents' approval. Many of your parents don't even know what you're doing half the time. But the reason you do your homework and work so hard, because it feels good to you. You guys may or may not believe in the power of conformity. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. Courtyard, at lunch today, get a group of you. It's got to be about 4 or 5. We're going to find out why it's got to be about 4 or 5 in a little bit. It's kind of just the magic number that a group forms. And remember, people conform to a group. So I want you to go out in the courtyard, sit around, you're talking, and then just sit there, look up. Looking up there. Now, there's going to be some kid walking by. They start looking. Now, the 4 or 5 of you have to have this planned out well. And then what you get, the one kid wants to be part of the group. Have I ever said people hate not knowing? He doesn't know what to do. So what do I do? I don't know what's going on. I want to be part of the group. And then so you and your friends are, oh my God, look at that. Did you ever? No. Have you? Holy, get your phone out. And so you got your phone up and the kid's like, what's going on? I don't see. Now here's where I want you to really ramp up the social pressure. Look at that one strange kid and be like, don't you see it? It's right there. What's wrong with you? We all see it. Whoa, you see what you did? Us against you. There's a good chance that kid will be like, yeah, I see it. Just to be part of the group. It is that powerful. Okay, there was an old candid camera show. I don't know if you know candid camera is like a prank show back in the day. It'd be black and white TV. I think we've had modern versions of it, different prank shows. And what candid camera did, it was brilliant. They took hidden cameras and they had a sidewalk and they had a sign that said backward zone. And if you're walking and you see a sign that says backward zone, you'll ignore it. You don't know what it is. People hate not knowing, but you don't know what it is, so you just walk past. However, if you see about 3 or 4 or a group of people or even more, they come to that sign, they look at it, and they start walking backwards down the sidewalk. If you see that happening, do you think you conform and start walking backwards? Now some of you are like, nuh-uh. Remember, if you're an average person, then you will conform most of the time to most people. You will probably you'll feel uncomfortable. You'll feel weird. You don't think this happened? What if we could do it in this school? Would you like this if tomorrow? We'll see if we can do it. I don't know if I'm getting permission for it. Well, what the heck? Since I'm a thug, who cares, right? Let's do this. What we're going to do is 5 minutes before the class ends, I'm going to have you guys go out, and you're just going to walk up and down the hall. And I'm going to have a sign that says backward zone. Or should we have don't step on the red tiles? Don't step on the red tiles. Or no, we could do tiptoe zone. So when you go tiptoe zone, now here's the deal. If your average kid sees tiptoe zone, they're a teen. They're looking at their phone. They're mad at mom. They're not going to pay attention. But if they see 30 of you guys walking through, you look at this, you're like, okay. Do you think we'd get people to conform? I think we would. You want to do this tomorrow? Yeah. Does it get me out of teaching? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So let's dig into this a little bit. Let's figure out what are the factors that make people conform. Okay? Number one is, and I want this magic number, it's going to be you are facing a unanimous majority of 4 to 5 people. That's critical. Think about it this way. If you have a group of friends, let's say you have a clique, okay, 4 to 5 people. And that's usually what high school kind of form. Maybe I'm wrong, but here's what I want you to do. Friday night, get your friends over, 4 to 5 people. Do you and your group, be honest, do you have someone in your group that the rest of you don't really like? I see a lot of nodding. One kid's like, nah, you're the one. So here's the way it works. If you have someone in your group that you don't like the afternoon before everyone comes over to your house for a pizza party, get some movies, hang out, do anything, what I want you to do is plan that you guys are going to order the gnarliest, nastiest pizza ever. And I want you to sit there and you start saying, hey guys, let's get pizza. We're going to get pizza. Let's get anchovies on there. And I want all of your friends, you pre-plan, yeah, oh, they're so gross, but let's do it anyway. Oh my God, this is going to be awesome. So I've never had them. You really amp it up. And one of your friends, oh yeah, sardines too. Like, yeah, let's get just raw beef on it. Yeah. And some of your other friends, this is going to be so gross, oh my God. Now, your one friend is like, guys, they're trying to remind them, they don't know what to do. So what do you think? Now, if that friend protests, what if all four of you turn? You always do this to us. Notice what you get in-group outgroup, you versus us. You just hit them upside the head with a big dose of social pressure. And they're like, well, I just don't know. Like, oh, what, you're going to ruin it again for us? We're all trying to have fun. I thought we were all one big group. Do you think they're going to resist? No. They'll go along. Half hour later, pizza arrives. Now, you got to sell it. If you're going to commit. Pizza comes, you all take a bite. Oh, and you can admit it tastes bad. This is awesome. Oh my God, we're doing it. Let's eat this whole thing. We can do this. Do you think your friend will take a bite? Do you think you can ramp up the pressure to get them to say they like it? Think you can? That's pretty twisted. I bet in your life you've been on both sides of those equations. Please don't think that because you've taken a little bit of class in social psychology, you're immune to social pressure, that you wouldn't conform. We all conform. I conform to a teacher. I wear a tie. I act responsibly, and I can't even finish that sentence. But I think you get the idea. All right, let's look at number 2. You must give your response in front of the group. It's how you look back. Because once you say something in public, you know it's very difficult to say something and think something else. That's unfortunately going to lead to cognitive dissonance, and we're going to do whatever we can to avoid that. Number 3, if you've not already said a different idea or opinion, is there anyone here who is admit or who's ridiculously competitive and argumentative? Have you ever been in an argument and you knew you were wrong, but you were not going to back down? You ever just make crap up? I saw it on the internet. I read it in Post. Make stuff up. Why? Especially if other people are watching. Once you've said something out loud, that's a behavior. And you cannot do a behavior and think it's wrong. What does that sound like? That's what I'm talking about. This is a mic. I just dropped that. You're strongly attracted to a group. Please, and maybe you do honestly think you don't care what people think of you. Maybe you honestly don't think that you don't need to belong to certain groups. I'm suggesting healthy people need to belong to lots of groups. Some of you have sacrificed and worked your body parts off to make varsity. Some of you practice and practice and practice, and you hope that the tryout goes well, the audition goes well, your first chair, trumpet, or clarinet, or whatever else, because you want the group to accept you. If you really want to be in the group before you're in the group, once you're in the group, you will conform. You will conform all day long. And that were brothers, sisters, friends, sororities, or fraternities. Have you ever heard horror stories of what they make the new people do? You're like, I never do that. I never submit to hazing. Hey, what makes you different than everyone else? Number 5. It's kind of a repeat of what we already talked about. Once you engage in behavior long enough, it becomes a part of you. What are you laughing at, boys? Nothing funny here. I'm going to say this, and let's practice. Is your nose bleeding? Say, no, it's not. Let's practice. Ready? See? Whatever. Some of you will never get that joke. When you're 31 years old, you're like, oh, you start laughing. Check it out.
It's not. S-N-O-T.
Anywho, let's do this. You still just got it. All right, go on your work. Pledge of allegiance nowadays might be a bad example because different people stand and don't stand for different reasons. Let's do this. I'm trying to think of a good example that doesn't cross a line. I don't know if I can. So let's do this. I don't know if your parents are ridiculously strict. Does anyone feel like they got really, really strict parents?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Do you kind of really hate their strictness? Are they strict for no reason whatsoever?
Yes.
Do your parents invent reasons to say, because I said so?
Yeah.
Stupid mom, you didn't pay for everything, I still do. You got really nothing there. So here's what I want you to do. If you have ever said you got your parents so mad because, I don't know, they don't listen to you, you're like, no mom, you don't understand. Any discussion, that's it, and you walk away and you're all mad. You mutter to yourself in your teenage anger. I'll never do that to my kids. Do you think that when you conform to the role of a parent, even though you hated it, you will soon say, because I said so? You drop the, it's my house, my rules. There's the door. You think they'll do it? Some of you are kind of uncomfortable. That whole thing was a setup with the security.
That's so smart.
What's that? You don't want me to show you the email that said, pick the person who's most near that camera. You think that was an accident? Oh, okay. All right, so. Are you good? You're not horribly humiliated or embarrassed? Okay. But you know what? I got a long memory, son. Wait till you need a favor.